Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're joining us today from. My name is Leanne Jacobson. I am the Director of Parent Relations and Giving here at the Academy. I manage parent philanthropy and parent engagement, but most importantly, I am the very proud parent of 2 LFA students. My daughter Allison graduated in 2013, and my son Drew is a junior this year at the Academy. It's very much my pleasure and honor to be here with you, sharing today with you, welcoming you to the CAXI family. We have people that are brand new this year, and we also are welcoming back people who perhaps never had a chance to be on campus last year. So thank you so much for choosing LFA, for being part of the LFA family. And we're here to answer all the new family questions and give you a warm welcome. There's many people besides me today in all of our Zoom boxes who I'd like to especially acknowledge, because we are your resources to give you an amazing year. So before I kick it off with Jose, I have some names that I'd like to introduce. And when I introduce your names, if you could please unmute yourself and just say hello to our new families. First, I'd like to point out our Dean's Council, who is my colleague, Rod Buckla, Vice President of Advancement.
Hello, everyone.
We also have Chris Tennyson, who is Associate Head of School and Dean of Students.
Hi, everybody.
And we also have some administrative faculty here tonight. We have Adam Gerber, who is Senior Associate Dean of Admission and Director of International Admission. Adam.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
We also have Grace Everett, who is Admissions Campus Visit and Event Manager.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you.
We have another colleague of mine, Gary Sloan, who is Assistant Dean of Advancement.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all virtually.
And we also have Joy Zhou, who is Director of Chinese Parent Development and the Senior Assistant Dean of Admission.
Hello, everyone.
And then we also have many members of our Parents Association who you'll be hearing from throughout the entire year, beginning with our PA President, Dr. Aida Quiros.
Hello, on behalf of the Parents Association, welcome to our new families.
We also have Judith Romulus, who is our Parents Association President-elect, which means she will be our president next year.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, 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 welcome. So excited to just be back and can't wait to meet all of you.
And we also have Winnie Kamada, who is the co-chair of the Parent Ambassador Program, which are the ambassadors to welcome your families. And she's been managing that program for a long time. Winnie, would you like to say hello?
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Again, I'm Winnie. I'm a parent of a senior. If you have not heard from your parent ambassador, please feel free to reach out, and welcome to Lake Forest Academy.
Thank you, Winnie. And lastly, we have Rita Powers, who is our boarding parent representative. And if you are a boarding parent, you just would have received some communication with Rita filled with wonderful ways to get you started as you move in. Rita?
Hello, everyone. Really excited to meet you all and welcome you to the Academy, or welcome you back to the Academy. And my son is a senior. I can't believe that. And I'm really excited to help in any way I can.
Great. So please know, all of the people that just welcomed you, we are your resources. Reach out to us at any time. In the program, we will open it up to Q&A at the end. But if there's something that you don't want to forget, you could always start putting your questions now in the chat box. But even better, if you could please put your name and where you're from and your student's name in the chat box to start some dialogue amongst us, that would be wonderful. And at this point, it is my honor to introduce our head of school and fellow parent, Jose de Jesus.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Leanne. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Right. I'm going to assume the people who are not on camera are nodding somewhere in the world. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That's one of the fun things about LFA, especially when we're on Zoom, is you can't make any assumptions as to where anybody may be. So wherever you may be, I hope you are healthy. I hope you are well. I hope you're excited, maybe even a little nervous about the beginnings for your kids, whether you are returning or completely new. That is good. Yesterday, I had several conversations during our evening event with parents and students, with several students, and they all confessed to me about being a little bit nervous. And I told them that I still get a little bit nervous every single time before I speak or do anything that matters to me. I was even a little bit nervous before Leanne handed it over to me. And it's a perfectly natural part of anything that's exciting and anything that matters. So I hope we're all feeling, that nice gentle nerves that reminds us that we're alive and that we care. But I also hope we're feeling good and optimistic about what I believe deeply is going to be an amazing year in the life of LFA. Usually, Zoom is something that is, you're always wishing you were doing something a little differently because you wish you were in person, perhaps. But in this case, this is really, I think, our first Zoom that's a real choice, in that after last year having successfully communicated with families through Zoom, we felt it was important to offer this option for you if for whatever reason you couldn't make it with us. Because even though this tool isn't the same as being on a beautiful evening somewhere, there's still incredible value. And we want you to know that we are here for you. And we want you to know that we are excited for your children to be joining us. So welcome to LFA. Welcome to this time together here on Zoom. And I'm looking forward to a time where we can all be together again in person. My name is Jose de Jesus. I'm entering my third year at LFA, which is kind of an insane thought. It was about 6 months into my first year when we first heard about this thing called coronavirus that was impacting our families and our students from China. And ever since then, as you can imagine, none of our lives have really been the same. And we've been through an unbelievable period of challenges, triumphs, loss. It's been an incredible period. And here we are together. And here we are in a position where we're going to be able to bring our community together, all 436 souls, to LFA, our faculty, our staff as well. And to do so, I will say, we're going to take a lot less for granted. As an educator, I try not to take things for granted. I love what I do. I've been teaching since I was 22 years old. So it's been 6 years since I taught. I'm kidding. A little bit more than 6 years. But I always take, I'm one of those people who tries to not take things for granted. And I will say that after a year where we really had to ask ourselves, what is a school and why does a school actually matter? And when we were actually making decisions for things as simple as how do we gather as a community? How do we teach a class? I will never take school for granted again. And I know I will never take LFA for granted again. It really is remarkable just how incredibly important communities like ours are to the development and the growth of our children. As Leanne mentioned, I'm not only the head of school, but I'm also a proud parent of Bella, who is a senior at LFA. And Bella last year, well, it was not a normal year for anyone, right? We know that. But she had a junior year. She had a junior year, and my gratitude to my colleagues for allowing her to just simply do things that were considered to be relatively ordinary before, but became extraordinary in these circumstances. Well, I'm a very proud both parent and head of school of LFA, and that's a team effort. And I tell people a lot, what helped us be successful last year through COVID are not new things, really. I always argue that COVID is more of an amplification of existing things rather than bringing in new things. And what it did was it really amplified at LFA the things that I think are so valuable and powerful about the place. And what I want to do is I want to share with you, and I call them the 3 Ps, what those are. What are the things that allowed us to be successful last year? They're the things that the alums still talk about when I meet with them. They're the things that were the case in December of 2019, before our world was turned upside down. And I know absolutely they will be the case and they already are the case as we're getting ready for this new year, which is still a peculiar one, but one filled with a whole lot more optimism than we've had this time last year. We're really raring to go and so excited to get there. And the 3 Ps are as following. The first one is people. You know, I really hope for all of you that you get to know the people at LFA. And that can really vary pretty dramatically, but this is my 5th school that I've worked at. And my 6th independent school. I went to private school myself for high school. And I just haven't really run into a group of people quite like LFA folks. And whether it be your child's advisor, get to know them really well. But whether it be your child's advisor and just the quality of my colleagues, how almost everyone on staff, faculty advise in some way, do all kinds of different things in the life of the school. Get to know them. And then also encourage, I encourage you to get to know other parents. We have some of our phenomenal leadership here. Get to know them. And then in terms of your children, really encourage them to open themselves up to the people at LFA. And it starts with not making any assumptions, not allowing not allowing yourself to judge a book by its cover. We have, as Chris often says, twice as many countries as we have states represented. When you meet somebody, you cannot make any assumptions about them. Just don't. Talk to them, get to know them, engage with them, and you'll be rewarded the way I've been rewarded over the last 2 years. Our people are pretty amazing. And even though this is not an admissions event, and this is more of a welcome event, I will still say the same thing, and that is one of the great highlights of LFA, and I encourage you to get to know our people. They really are amazing. And they pulled through in an amazing way last year, and they're ready to go this year. The second P is place. This is a very beautiful place. And for those of you, well, I mean, most of you probably have children who are going to be boarders. Encourage them to get to know where we are, both physically the campus. I'm coming to you from Woodhouse, and to the left, I see this gorgeous, field and Caxi Pond, and to my right, I see one of the most beautiful buildings in the entire country in Reed Hall. Encourage your children, and when you're here, look around, walk around, but also not just our physical campus, but get to know the place in terms of the North Shore and the towns in the area. And when van runs are offered, really encourage your students to get involved, your children to get involved and to get to know. And then obviously the extraordinary city that's only an hour south of us, Chicago, we are lucky. We're very lucky to be able to live here. There are very few boarding schools in a place like ours. I call LFA the great unicorn. We are unique. And I know independent schools very well. And I'll tell you, I don't know a single school that's like ours. So get to know the place, get to know, I walk every day from my house to this beautiful building, up these marble staircase. And every day I'm just taken by how lucky I am to be working and learning and growing myself in a space like LFA. So certainly get to know the place, and it will reward you as well. And finally, the third P is purpose. One thing about LFA that I really value was one of the reasons why I decided to come here and move my family here from New York City, which is where I'm originally from, is the fact that at LFA, in a moment when you have a lot of division internationally, when you have xenophobia on the rise, when you have clear political and racial and socioeconomic challenges and strife, the thought of a school like ours that brings families and students together and faculty and staff together from everywhere, from all over the place. Just if you look at just the new hires, we just hired 11 new faculty and staff. And of those 11, about 50% identify as people of color. 7 states are represented, including 4 different regions. And that's just the new teachers coming to LFA. I mean, think about that. It's an incredible thing. And then when you take that and you expand it out to over, our community is probably what, a good 800, 900 people total when you include the parents. I got to tell you, it's an amazing thing. So when we come together, we really feel the sense of purpose. We really feel the sense that we want to show that it's possible for people from all over the world, from different parts of the country, from different social backgrounds and socioeconomic backgrounds and sexual orientations and races. And the reality is, what we care are people who have hearts and open minds and have the values that we share. And that's around the importance of us being thoughtful citizens and being responsible and being connected and linked, and to see the value and the humanity in each of us. And that purpose is something that's the extra sauce at this place. When you come here, you're not just going to high school in a way. Yes, you're going to high school. You're going to an amazing opportunity academically and programmatically and all those things. But I've always felt a bit of a sense of purpose to us, to our coming together, and that we represent something that's important in our world today. So I really, really do hope that you'll dive in. You'll recognize that the people that we have here are phenomenal. I mean, I challenge you to find a school with people who are as interesting, dynamic, and kind. A place, I'll put us up against anyone in terms of just pure beauty, but also of how interesting the place where we live is. And then finally, purpose. Understand that what we're hoping to do here is to help build a generation of young people who are going to help lead us, move us forward beyond just these 4 years, but well beyond it, and live lives that are rich and purposeful and extraordinary. So as you can see, I'm pretty excited. It's, even though it's a Saturday morning here in Lake Forest at 8 a.m. And you all cut into my beauty sleep. And I need a lot of it, as you can see. I feel so much energy and excitement about this year. I am deeply grateful to all of you for choosing us, despite the fact that you couldn't visit the place and meet the people necessarily the same way and understand us fully. You saw something in LFA and you made this big decision, financial decision, personal family decision, to send your children to us. And I, again, never take that for granted. And particularly now, am really deeply grateful for your choice in choosing to be with us. And we promise we're going to work really hard, that we're going to love your children, we're going to challenge them, and we're also going to see them. And I, for one, am deeply excited, I know my colleagues are too, for what's going to be a great year in the life of LFA. So with that, I just want to thank you for being here and for your attention. And because we're on Zoom, I can see all of you are actually paying attention, so thank you. It's a lot easier to see that over Zoom, and I'm loving it. As always, as I always say whenever I sign off, go Caxies, and let's have a phenomenal year. It is now my absolute honor to introduce my right hand, someone who's a real rock at LFA, and is somebody who I value everywhere from making some of the biggest decisions of our career and maybe the history of education in the United States, to figuring out, where the best place is to have a picnic. This is a man who can do it all, and I am really honored to not only call my partner but also a friend, our associate head of school and dean of students, Mr. Chris Tennyson. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. Welcome to LFA. Welcome back to our second year families that might be on the call. And congratulations on making a decision to be part of our great family. I'd like to begin by just thanking you in advance. And it might sound strange to do that, but the reason why is because you are going to truly make this fantastic community even better. Our admissions team has already identified in you the amazing ways that you're going to enrich our lives and the LFA campus. And I know that your teachers, your coaches, your dorm parents, your advisors are unbelievably excited to witness that over the next day, week, month, and years. As I was sitting here listening to Jose, I realized that this is a little bit of a flashback to last year. And last year, we were doing a lot of work just to try to get our doors open. And so everything we did was virtual. However, the really good news is that we're in a different spot. Although the COVID landscape around us may not be the best it possibly can be, thankfully, we are really excited to have everyone in person. Students have already arrived. Our seniors are going to be coming back from their retreat later this morning. We have our international students that have kind of been able to fly in and will be staying in their dorms tonight, some of them. And so this weekend and over the course of this preseason week, we're going to become a school that's about 75% full. And we are so looking forward to offering as much as we normally do and can in what we now refer to as a non-COVID world. You come to the Academy at a really great time. I think you've known that or have seen that, or at least have witnessed it in your interactions with our admissions team. We are truly an excellent school. We're biased, but we truly believe that we are an excellent place, and know that we're going to do our very best to individualize your child's experience while they're here. LFA is a school that over the last 15 years has physically transformed its campus. We have state-of-the-art facilities, absolutely awesome. But most importantly, we've remained true to our mission. We've remained true to wanting to be a global campus, to try to instill in our students these ideas of character and scholarship, citizenship, and responsibility. We have an administrative team and a collective of faculty and staff who have navigated us through challenges, who truly and genuinely love this place and bring an amazing amount of energy and excitement. And so building off of that, I thought I would just kind of offer 3 pieces of advice from a Dean of Students office, but really just from being an LFA adult. The first is to take advantage of the community. Engage, use the support that is in place, whether that's from our leadership, from the advisors, from your teachers, the dean's office, your dorm parents. It is a true partnership. And so what we want to make sure that you know is that you can always reach out to us. And we look at our goal, as I mentioned this earlier, individualizing your experience. But our ultimate goal is to make sure that that individualized experience is as excellent as it can be. The reason is we want you to then be able to graduate from our school, be able to go out and navigate a world where you can engage with empathy and be an agent of change. The second thing, for all the students mostly, but even parents, because some of you are going to be sending your child away maybe for the first time, it is okay to be nervous. If you weren't, then we might be a little bit worried. But please, if you are nervous and if you have any questions, never hesitate to reach out. You will find out that your advisor, your child's advisor, is going to be an amazing liaison between you and the school. Or you've worked closely with one of the admissions team members. Or maybe it's that you've received too many emails from me, and so you have my email address. But don't ever hesitate to write and to ask questions or to pick up the phone and call. We are always happy to help. And then the third is to participate. There is no better place than LFA to try something new and have the ability to fail. And what I mean by that is I don't mean fail in that, hey, we're going to rack up continuous failures on quizzes or tests or papers. That may happen too. But what we want you to do is to try something new, to go in with eyes open, to go in with an open mind and be willing to experience something different. Because I can promise you that if it doesn't go the way that you envisioned, you are going to be picked up. The faculty and staff here are going to support you, and they're going to do everything that you can to prop you up, to pat you on the back, to say good job, and to kind of direct you in the next way possible. And I can promise from years of experience here at LFA that if you're able to dive in, and if you're able to encourage your child to take advantage of all of the things that the Academy will offer, then they will reap the awards. And you can't even imagine how great they are. What I would like to do right now too is I don't see anything in the chat. It's great to see people introducing themselves, though. I've been watching that. It's pretty fantastic. Please feel free to use the chat function and capability on Zoom in order to be able to type questions. What we would love to be able to do is ask and answer those. We've had 2 new family receptions, Thursday night and Friday night. And so this is number 3 for us. And one of the best parts about it has been to allow our students and families to be able to ask us questions about what might be on their mind. And the reason for that is twofold. One is If one person has a question, I can guarantee that 5 to 10 other people on this call have the exact same question. So there's never a bad question. And number 2 is we truly want to make sure that your transition into academy life or back to academy life can be as seamless as possible. And so we want to do that so that our journey together is an easy one. And finally, I look forward to having the chance to connect with you, whether it's going to be here on campus or when we get an opportunity to travel the world. And so in the meantime, don't hesitate to be in touch with us. Thank you again for joining the Academy. I cannot wait to work alongside your students and children, it's going to be a fantastic year. So thank you. All right, so I think the first question has come through, and it's from Dr. Buckla, and it's, what is the dress code for this year? Good question. I think the easiest way to address the dress code is to break it down into 2 parts. One is pre-start of classes, and then the second part is once classes start. For the preseason week, for this registration weekend, for the following registration weekend, on the opening of school calendar, we mentioned that the dress code is casual, and it truly is casual. We want students to be comfortable as they're moving into their dorm rooms. And so that means that students can wear t-shirts, they can wear shorts. If they would like to wear a collared shirt or get dressed up, that's fine. What we've said is casual means comfortable. And so that's the big thing for us. We want our students and families that are coming to campus to be as comfortable as possible during that week. If you're on campus for preseason and your practices are over, again, we want you to be as comfortable as possible. Oftentimes, students will stay in their athletic clothes until they get picked up, or they might change into something because if it's going to be warm here, they don't want to be as sweaty all day. And so those things will happen and you can be all set. Once school starts, we move into what we've referred to as relaxed dress code, and realizing that first and second year families on this call don't truly know what that is. What that means is that for our students that identify as male or follow our male dress code, for this year, we're going to have collared shirts, whether that's a short sleeve polo, a short sleeve dress shirt, or a full sleeve dress shirt. We are not going to wear ties. And so students, our male students, need to wear collared shirts and then khaki pants, dress pants, etc. Depending on the temperature, we may allow for shorts, but that would be something that I would email out here on campus. For our female students, we ask that they dress with a collared shirt, blouse, or a shirt that covers shoulders, skirts, dresses, pants, slacks, whatever we call them, are all okay. In the email that I sent out to all incoming and returning families, one of the attachments to that was the dress code, and lays out kind of what's permitted and what's not. If we need to change our dress code, one of the reasons why we've kind of gone to a more relaxed dress code is just because we are going to be wearing masks on campus. Anytime that we are indoors on campus, we will be masked as a community. It's going to be the safest way and the best way for us to be able to mitigate risk and remain in person. And so we want our students to be comfortable knowing that they have to do that. Outside on campus will be an opportunity for our students to be unmasked. Last year, we were masked on campus everywhere. We were masked and socially distanced. This year, what we've said is that outdoors, per the CDC guidance and per the Illinois Department of Public Health guidance, we want our students to maintain distance as much as possible, but outdoors, they are allowed to be unmasked. We have picnic tables, we have chairs already out on center campus. Last night, it was fantastic at the new family reception. We had our new students sitting around in one big circle. And so it was great to preview what's going to happen this coming week and these coming months. Indoors, we have great mitigation layers in place. And so we feel comfortable that being masked allows us to have regular classes and all of those types of things too. So.
I also, Chris, I want to piggyback on that in terms of it's not related to that question, but a thought I had that I'd like to share, and that is, I think one silver lining of COVID is that it made schools really think a lot about our needs to care for our students medically in terms of their health specifically because of the dangers, but also increasingly psychologically. And one thing I'm very proud of that we did this past year was hired a phenomenal director of health services in Anna Kleiner, who has, usually after COVID, someone has less impact and influence. When I hear from schools, they're pulling back a little bit. We're not, we actually, I think, strengthened that team. That nursing team it's the best nursing team I've ever worked with in my career. It's extraordinary what we have now. And also we hired another counselor, and now we have, 2 3/4 time, basically full-time counselors. They teach a little bit that are present at LFA, and they're reporting to Anna. So we really are thinking about physical and mental health, not just during the COVID period, but also beyond. And we're learning this lesson essentially from the COVID experience, that it's important that we take the health of our students, even more seriously than we already were. And we were taking it pretty seriously. So one of the things is that as we're going along, even though, as Chris said, we're feeling confident that things will be a little bit more open and we're allowed to have more of a year, we're still, though, have our core team in place. We're still working with Dr. Singh, who is an infectious disease expert for North Shore Medical Group. And we'll meet with him consistently as well as we navigate this pandemic. So, we're optimistic, but we're actually probably as structured and as we've ever been when it comes to health at LFA. And I'm excited for that beyond the pandemic, to be able to offer that to our students and to our families. So back to you, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you, Jose. 2 questions or asks have come in. One is to talk about security on campus. The other is to talk about schedules, student schedules. I'll begin with security, and I'd just like to say, if any of my colleagues on the call want to chime in with anything that I'm missing or leaving out or not explaining clearly, please feel free to do so. About now 10 to 12 years ago, we did a spring gala that focused on campus safety and security. And at that time, we key carded all of our buildings on campus in order to make our campus more secure. And we also hired a 24/7 campus safety officer. And so at every minute of the day, we have a campus safety officer on campus who makes rounds, who makes sure that the campus is as safe as it possibly can be. Your student, when they arrive on campus, will get a student ID card. That student ID card not only allows them to charge things to their account, but really the main reason for their ID card is it gains them access to the buildings that they have access to. So if your child is going to be a boarding student in, say, Atlas, they would have access to Atlas Hall, and they would have access to our academic buildings and our athletic facilities and our student center. The students don't have access to other dorms. And the reason for that is we prioritize and place a heavy emphasis on security. And I think what comes with security as well is what Jose just talked about, what Mr. De Jesus just talked about, which is also recognizing that our socio-emotional wellness on campus is really important. And there's a correlation between those two. And so our focus is to make sure that our students are also in the best place. And as he said, we've built out a really great team. Schedule. The easiest way to direct you to your schedule is, unfortunately for any students on this call, students aren't able to access their own schedules in Veracross yet. The reason for that is just they haven't been able to set up their accounts. They will do that when they're on campus. If they're on campus this week, they will get iPads on Tuesday and Wednesday. With that, they will get all of their ID and login information, including their LFA email addresses. And at that point, they're going to be able to access their schedules. One of the pieces of advice we give out is that when you are able to see your schedule in Veracross, it's great to take a screenshot of that and to then make that your background of your iPad for the first month or so of school. That way you have it with you always. You don't have to unfold a piece of paper that's in your pocket. It also helps us that if you leave your iPad somewhere, we can identify whose it is. But for parents, if you log into the Veracross portal, and you probably have done that if you've made a payment to our business office, or if you have gone in for a variety of other reasons, you can go in, and one of the tabs and one of the ways to do that is to be able to see that. And if there are any questions with your child's schedule, please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Shannon Braddock, and we can help the best way we can. Oh, another question, and thank you, Winnie, for putting these forward. what do boarding students do over the weekend? This is something that I truly believe, and we say often. I think Lake Forest Academy has one of the best weekend activity programs of any boarding school in the country. The reason for that is we have faculty that are fully committed and willing to engage in that. And that is something that has gone on ever since I arrived here. It was a culture that was built prior to my arrival, and it truly is something that stands out. Every weekend we have about, and this goes back to kind of safety, security, supervision, I think. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have about 10 dorm faculty on duty every weekend. Each one of them does anywhere from 2 to 4 activities, meaning van runs to coffee shops, van runs to Michigan Avenue, movie runs to a mall so students can go shopping, Target runs. Maybe it's a movie in the dorm commons. Maybe it's a fire pit on campus to allow students to come and sit around. Maybe it's something else. But when you begin to add that up, there are so many options for our students to take advantage of. On the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, which is a long weekend, it's the second full week, it's after the second full week of school. Oftentimes students just want to put their feet up and take a break. We know that some students aren't able to get home and they're here on campus for that weekend. And we load that with food trucks and we load it with bingo, with gift card prizes. We're sending all of our students, if they want to go to Six Flags, which is an amusement park, and it's free. And we're going to send them right after brunch ends at noon or 12:30. They can go on all the rides that they want, and we're going to have them stay and remain until the park closes at around 9. And so that is a complete blast for students that do that. But really, the other part of it is not only are our faculty and staff fully engaged in that and committed, our students, we offer them opportunities to fill out on a sheet of paper or to email us what they're interested in. And so we might have a group of students who want to go skiing up in Wisconsin. And so they'll put that forward. And although that doesn't happen in August, it can definitely happen in January. There's groups of students who say, hey, I would love to get to Mitsuwa, which is an Asian market about 45 minutes away. And we'll put 2 vans together so that our students can go to that and do some shopping and eating. And so we rely heavily too on the students taking some initiative and putting some things forward. And then we try to meet them where they are.
Chris, one of my favorite parts of this is, and this is, I think, pretty unique. I haven't seen this before, but what's fun is that the faculty bring their personalities into it. So we'll ask students, what do you want to do? But you'll have a weekend where our history teacher, Sam Wold, will say, okay, he's a foodie, and he'll figure out a place to take students to eat because he's very opinionated about the best food in Chicago. And then you'll have our arts staff, take students to, even during COVID, my daughter went on a van run to see an opera that was held, in a convention center with our art department chair and theater department chair. We see all these opportunities that are just unique. Maybe somebody loves a particular neighborhood in Chicago and they'll do a run. So I always enjoy and get a kick out of. I missed it so much last year because we didn't have assembly together. But whenever there was an announcement as to what the weekend activities were, I would always smile because no 2 weekends seem to be alike. And that's, I think, one of the really fun parts of, again, going back to that theme of people. And I want to encourage you to tell your students, and your students, if you're on here, to try to take advantage of it, especially now as thankfully the vaccine has been able to open up our ability to connect more to the city and to surrounding areas. Definitely take advantage of it. It really is an enriching part. And then just thinking about what my daughter has done on van runs, the botanical gardens and going to that market that Tenny just said and discovering new food that one of them I liked a lot, one of them I didn't like. And then, on and on and on, there's this opportunity, I think, within the school that's not one we necessarily announce all the time, but I think is a huge value add. And then also for day students who might be on this call, they're welcomed as well. This is open to our entire community. So I can't stress enough how much I encourage people to do it. Another thing that's fun is you'll hear stories of students who maybe don't know each other. They'll go on a van run together, go somewhere, and then they build a little community, they build friendships. And one thing about LFA that I've really appreciated as a dad is that when my daughter entered as a sophomore, the older kids just reached out to her and connected with her. And one of those experiences was in the botanical gardens. So these are opportunities not just to do fun things that change things up or interesting things, but also to get to know people that otherwise you might not have run into because they may not be on your team, or they may not be in your class, or maybe even in your grade. It's really fun to see what kind of emerges from some of these experiences.
Great. Question that just came in. I think Jose just nailed that one, but day students are certainly encouraged and allowed to participate. The more the merrier. We want our students coming back to campus as much as possible. And that's part of being part of a boarding school community, is that, because we have close to 50% of our population living on campus, student population, we want our day students coming back. And for day families on this call, and for boarding students on this call, know that we encourage that. And you'll see that dinner is oftentimes pretty crowded because practice ends and people come and still want to eat and hang out for a little bit. And it's between kind of athletic practices and the start of study hours where students can really take a break. And so it's pretty fantastic to be in the dining hall for dinner and seeing everybody hang out in that way. And so, but yes, day students most certainly allowed. Want to go back to a good question about, hey, what happens during breaks? And that's a good one. Before I do that, though, I'm going to talk about advisories and dorms. Advisors, you will find out who your advisor is. You will hear from your advisor on Monday or Tuesday of this week if you haven't already. They're going to be reaching out in order to set up times to be able to meet with you. The carved out time that we've established is next Sunday from 1 to 3:30. Recognizing that not everyone is going to be able to get to campus, though, the purpose of us reaching out is to open the lines of communication so that you have a direct line to the person who is going to serve as your child's advocate, your child's mentor, source of counsel, and be your direct link to the school in a lot of ways. I always say that the first email or call that you should make when you have a child's concern is to your advisor. And they're willing to run with that, and they know and they take very seriously their role of being the advocate and in that person's corner fully. Just so everyone knows, because you may be unfamiliar with an advisory system, what an advisory is it's very similar to like a homeroom. And so we take a small school, which is LFA, and make it even smaller by breaking us up. There are about 60 advisories. So 60 faculty and staff members serve as an advisor or co-advisor. And within that group, there are often 5 to 8 or 9 students that meet every Monday and Thursday formally, and then every Wednesday and Friday informally at morning meetings. And so it's an opportunity for us to share announcements about the school, to find out what did we do this past weekend? What are we doing this coming weekend? Who's got tests? Who's got games? And you build a really small little family there. We bring snacks in and we kind of break bread together, and we just kind of laugh together. We play games. Oftentimes we might go to another advisory and play categories against them. And so it's a really great little way to make a school smaller. And it's also a great way to provide you all as parents with a direct link to a faculty member here who's going to get to know your child pretty well. They will communicate grades. They will be the person that you can email or call when you need to about grades. They will work with your child in the spring about setting up courses for the following year. And so it's a really great system that we have here, and our advisors do a top-notch job. Dorm assignments and room assignments. The way that we do that is you all over the summer filled out a form that gives us a little bit of insight into who you are. Is your child someone who likes to go to bed early? Is your child someone who likes to stay up late? Are they a little bit messy? Or are they a neat freak? All of those types of things are really useful for us so that we can make the best pairing as possible. One of the things, going back to advisory though, is the other cool part is the advisories are mixes of gender, mixes of grades, mixes of day and boarding, mixes of domestic and international. And so the students themselves get to mesh and bond with other students from all around the country and the world. Same is true with our dorms. Our dorms are amazingly diverse. And so what we say to incoming families that it is almost a certainty that you are going to live with someone from a very different background than yours. And it's a really cool experience to do that. And we use the information that you provided us in summer registration to make the best pairings possible and to build the best dorm communities possible that are going to mesh, but that are also going to have that balance of grades and balance of domestic and international, local boarding, and from a little bit further away. And so we do that with the hope that we create some truly great communities. And the dorm heads and dorm parents do an amazing job with activities and everything else. So I think that's that. Oh, vacations. That's a big one. And it's one that actually, you know, it's funny. Joy Zhao and Adam Gerber, who are on this call, we were talking about it. I don't know if Adam was on the email or not, but one of the things that we have on our mind is that we recognize that in a COVID world right now, that some of the longer vacations, students may not be able to return home or may not choose to return home. And so we need to figure that out. For things like Labor Day weekend and Columbus Day weekend and other kind of what we call long weekends, which are 3-day weekends, our dorms and our campus remains open. However, there are 3 periods during the school year, Thanksgiving break, winter break, and spring break, where our school is closed and the campus is closed. And so recognizing or knowing that our students may not be able to return home during those periods of time, what we often will do is encourage them to stay with friends and to do all those things. And I think this year it's on our minds that we're going to want to think about that in order to be able to best support our families. Know that we do vacation planning very early, oftentimes a month before the vacation starts, so that we can be proactive and intervene where we need to and how we need to. And we plan to do that again this year. But if there are any questions or comments or worries about that, Joy and Adam are tremendous assets, and we can problem solve with the best of them. I just have to scroll down here, so I apologize. These are good questions, everyone. Permission to leave campus. Sorry, I just scrolled too far. Yeah, that's a great, whoever posted that, you're exactly right. The resources for boarding students is awesome. Something that's really cool. And I often will say when I walk around campus, I kind of just say, hey, only at LFA. And what do I mean by that? Only at LFA do you see students from all around the world kind of sitting together, laughing together, engaging with one another, having kind of sometimes serious conversations, but oftentimes having a lot of fun. Only at LFA do you walk the hallways and you see students just leaving their backpacks and their books everywhere, because there's such a level of trust that they feel that they can do that, and that when they come back, those things are going to be there and they can grab them and run off to class. But I think the other part of that too is only at LFA do we have the students develop an app that allows us to have signups for weekend activities at the students' disposal on their phones. And so students in our AP Computer Science class wanted to make the sign-up process a lot easier for weekend trips. And so what they did was they generated this app, they ran it by me and our Director of Residential Life. And so we can advertise all of our trips now, and the students can sign up. And then our dorm parents who are going on those trips can just look on their phones and see who's supposed to be there. And so it's all right at our fingertips, which is truly awesome and pretty amazing. Question about students leaving campus. And this is a good one for parents, especially parents who are far away and are entrusting us with their child's well-being. In order for any boarding student to ever leave campus, they need the permission of the school. So they need to speak to an adult here on campus. If it is during the academic day, they would do that with the dean's office, and with Teresa Zafe or Maura Johansson, they would go and see them and physically sign out and fill out paperwork. If it is after hours or on the weekend, then they would, they would call the dorm cell phone or find the dorm parent and sign out with them. And they need to make a record of that, but they have to speak to someone before they leave, so that we can ask the same questions that you all would as parents. What time are you leaving? Who are you traveling with? Do you have car permission? Where are you going? What time are you going to be back? And so we run them through those questions. Students do a great job answering those, and then they're off. And as long as the COVID safety protocols and everything else checks out, then we let them go. For our boarding students who want to go home on a weekend or want to go to a friend's house, they will fill that information out in Veracross, And that then needs to be verified by an adult, either the parents who are hosting the children or by the parent themselves if their child is coming home for the weekend. And so again, we dot our I's and cross our T's because that's really important. During the academic day for day students that are on campus, they also need to sign out. So even if mom and dad have arranged a doctor's appointment and mom and dad have called to let us know that that child A or B is going to be leaving at 1 o'clock to go to a dentist, the child still needs to come to our office to sign out. Sometimes plans change, sometimes appointments get canceled, sometimes tests come up and other things. And so we just want to make sure that we're engaging with the student. That way we can tell the student too, hey, if you're coming back to campus, swing by before you run off to class and just let us know you got back safely. And so we take that very seriously. We call it in loco parentis here. And it's a role that we look at when we say we're dorm parents, or that parenting part of it is something that we take very seriously. Food allergies, that's a good one. That's a great question. Our dining hall staff is excellent. They are willing to meet with any families and any students that may have food insensitivities or may have restrictions due to either religious or cultural reasons. And we do our best to accommodate as many of those as possible. And so just know that you can reach out to me and that I can connect you with them, or if you're physically here on campus, we can arrange for a time for you to be able to sit down. Just a personal story. My wife and I live on campus. We have 3 children, a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. Our 9-year-old has a dairy allergy and has had over the course of his young life a dairy allergy, a soy allergy, and some others. He's grown out of a few, but the dining hall staff is great. They know that about him, and whenever he comes to the dining hall for dinner, if they know they don't have something, they will come up to him and offer to go make something else or to direct him to the things that he can eat. And so if they're doing that for my 9-year-old, then I know they go above and beyond for our students that are here on campus.
Mr. Tennyson, excuse me. I'd like to add just to that too, that we'll be putting in the parent e-newsletter. It won't be this week, but next week. It's called the BITE app, B-I-T-E. And the BITE app, you or your student could go online and see the common allergens in food. So it will show what they're serving, but it may say like contains soy, contains dairy. And as someone with a severe nut allergy, I could tell you that they just don't put nuts in anything that you would find on the dessert area or in the main area through the cafeteria. And look out for that in your e-news to be able to sign up for that app.
Awesome. Thank you, Leanne. Another question, just coming back to security, I probably didn't explain fully. I know if you are joining us from different spots around the world, oftentimes you may hear or see headlines of what happens in Chicago or in other places nationally or locally or globally. Know that when we do weekend activities everywhere, it's always with safety in mind. And so we're not going to do something that puts our students and our adults in danger in any way. We have here locally on campus, not only do we have a 24/7 campus safety officer that is patrolling and gets to know our students and faculty and staff. We have the key card, so all of our buildings are locked and secured. We also have a great relationship with the Lake Forest Police Department. They come to our campus to be able to kind of meet with me every once in a while. They're often aware of big events or major events on campus so that they can be extra present if necessary. But we do have a great relationship with them that we've built up over the years. And that's allowed us to feel even better too, that, hey, if something really major was to arise, we know that we have their support and their backing completely. Do they record students in the dorms and cameras or only in public areas? That's a good question. We also have some cameras on campus. Almost all of those cameras are right outside of entrances to to either the entrance and exit to our campus or the major entranceways to our academic buildings. We do not have any cameras inside our dormitories, inside our locker rooms, or those types of things. That's a big no-no. And so we don't do that. And so within our buildings, outside of the big public spaces like our dining hall, we have some cameras in there. In the athletics commons and in our fitness center, we have some cameras there. But those public spaces are the extent of where we have those. And so really the reason we have those cameras is not to be proactive and monitoring constantly, but it's, you know, if there's an incident, then we have the ability to react and go back and see that tape. And so that's pretty good. Or if for any reason a window gets broken, we can try to find out what happened, but that really doesn't happen at campus. Oh, good question. Will students be issued practice uniforms during preseason? Preseason is going to be great. And I hope for as many of you on this call as possible that at some point you're going to plan to participate, whether it's in preseason, whether it's in the fall athletic season or some subsequent season. But playing sports is a really important part of school life. And so what we will do is I always encourage students that are coming for preseason to bring the necessary equipment for the sport that they want to play. For example, if you're going to try out for tennis, then you should show up with a tennis racket. But if you're going to play, say, run cross country or volleyball or soccer, there what you need is you just need an athletic t-shirt, you need shorts, shin guards and cleats if you're playing soccer, but running shoes if you were doing cross country or something along those lines. We are this year issuing t-shirts to students that are going to be participating in PE and some other things, just so that our students do have some athletic attire that they're able to use. And so that's something that Mr. Maidley, who's our athletic director, is going to be doing over the coming weeks. I'm just scrolling up and down here. I don't know if anyone has, if I've missed any. If they have, please just let me know. Otherwise, you all have done a fantastic job with these questions. This is pretty good. It's been a steady stream here, which is excellent. And thank you for posting the Byte link in there, whoever did that. That's really good. And so I'm going to be a little bit quiet here just to see if any other questions come in or if anyone else on the call from LFA would like to add anything.
I would just say in general, you know, this is a lot of information we're throwing at you. And we just had our new faculty and staff trained this past week. And the term they use is sometimes it feels like drinking from a fire hose, right? It's just fast. And it's natural to hear all this information and wonder, what, you know, oh, how am I gonna be able to keep this? How are my children gonna be able to keep this? And we try to break it up into chunks. But just to say that the keys are the folks, the people here, right? The advisor, you know, your teachers, our administration. Just don't hesitate to ask questions. You know, I think we're here ready and happy to respond. So, you know, as things emerge or things don't make sense, also your other fellow parents are great resources. Winnie is running our mentor program, and even though I was ahead of school, I'm very grateful for the Griffiths family who were our mentors and welcomed me and helped us with some information that was helpful to us. Even though, again, I was the head of school and my wife was teaching in the English department, ultimately, we really use the Griffiths family as a resource. So I would certainly encourage you to not be shy about reaching out if a question emerges. We are more than happy to help.
Mr. Tennyson?
Yes.
I have some questions that came directly to me that I think are best addressed to you. Are there any makeup for tryout if my son misses preseason? So can they join a team if they don't show up for preseason? And also what happens if they're in a cat sport? Do they just get kicked out?
Got it.
And then the next question, do you offer cultural and religious food? So if my kid is Jewish, do you have those kinds of food every now and then?
Good, thank you. I will go with I'll go with the sports first, I think. And there are a couple other questions in the chat, and if I don't answer it all, then let me know. But if you're not able to be here for preseason, then what I would do is please feel free to reach out to me, and I can connect you with our athletic director or the coach. And you may have the coach's information already. That was included in some of the summer registration. But I would say reach out and let us know so that we can work on that. Sometimes if you're unable to get to preseason, there are spaces on some teams. Other times those spaces are taken up. And so we do often will allow students to maybe try out, but it will see where we are. But being able to communicate about that now gives us the chance to kind of plan accordingly. And so that would be something that would be worthwhile doing. Another thing is if for the tryouts, can we borrow equipment? To be honest, what we do is we don't have that equipment here. For example, we don't have golf clubs to be able to loan. And so what I would say is, and golf is a good example of a sport that, due to kind of team numbers and some space constraints, that is what we call a cut sport, meaning that if 20 students decide to try out for boys golf, we can only keep 14. And so so 6 students what we would do is we would repurpose them. I kind of mentioned earlier, right? LFA is an okay place to try something new and to maybe have it not work out for you. Because what we're going to do is if you don't make the golf team, then what we're going to do is we're going to pick you up and we're going to say, hey, here are some other sports that are available. Would you like to go try one of those? And oftentimes students will go and do that, and off they go, and they never look back. And they get to try something new and be with a whole new group of friends that they truly enjoy and fall in love with. For students that aren't going to play a team sport in the fall, that's okay too. We have physical education classes which occur after school. And so if you're not somebody who clicks or identifies with any of the sports that we offer in the fall season, that is totally okay. In fact, it's more than okay. We offer kind of weight training and fitness. We offer yoga classes. We offer some swimming at times. We offer ultimate frisbee. And a lot of it varies on the faculty members that are involved. Last year, we offered dance classes. And so those things are intended really just to make sure that our students are a little bit active. And so students will be in touch via their advisors and signing up for those things. But what we do is we make sure that everybody is participating in one way or another in that aspect of things. I think I got it. Did I get it? Oh, good question. Okay, so when you come to preseason, if you get maybe if a sport like soccer or if a sport like golf doesn't work, yes, we can move you into PE as well. And so if you're a student that's come from further away, and some students may choose to go home and then come back to start their PE once classes start. But really what we do is we say, hey, okay, you don't want to go do any of these other sports. Sometimes we'll say, hey, for this week, please go try it. And then we can move things around. And really for people who may not make the team that they try out for, ultimately what we say is don't worry about it, try something else. And if you don't like that, then we'll continue to work on finding something for you. And that's the purpose of it. And truthfully, right, that lesson for athletics is similar to what your academic journeys are going to be like. You could come in right now saying, I love history and math. In 7th and 8th grade, those are my favorite classes. And you sit in an English class for the first time and completely click with the teacher, and all of a sudden decide, oh my gosh, this is my new calling. Or you take a science elective that you never thought you would take, and all of a sudden that's the area of pursuit that you're going to look into at college and university. And so those are the types of things that we want to encourage. And so that lesson of athletics can be applied to really anything at LFA. I think I got all of those. Winnie, thumbs up if I did. Cool, thank you. Yeah,
Oh, there is another one, Mr. Tennyson.
Yeah.
When the sports students go out to compete, does the school pay for their food, or do they come back and eat in the dining hall?
Great question. So when students go, so one of the neat things, and this was a question last night as well, is do we anticipate the athletic seasons being as normal as possible? And the short answer is yes. We do anticipate playing against other teams. We're in a league called the Independent School League. And so schools that are similar to us in size and student demographics and everything else, we get a chance to participate against them and compete for league championships. And so we will travel to those schools. We'll travel to some local public schools and some other schools. While you're on the road representing LFA, there will be times where if we get back to campus in time when the dining hall is still open, then we might eat in the dining hall. But more often than not, because the games start at 4:30 and they might be somewhere from a half hour to 45 minutes away, we're not going to get home in time for that. And so we give each student money, we call it meal money, so that they can eat on the road. And so I used to coach the girls basketball team. And so when we would go on the road and play a game, on the way back to campus, we would stop and we would all go into a restaurant and often get some food and then be able to bring that food back to campus. Sometimes we would sit and eat in the restaurant. In a COVID world, we were not doing that. And we were waiting until we got back to campus. But yes, the school will provide for that. Winnie, you asked a question about kosher food and other types of foods. Yes, that would be something that please approach me, approach your student's advisor. We can connect you with the dining hall, and we do try to make as many accommodations as possible there and work on those types of things. And then the final thing is, or not the final, but maybe the final, could you talk about, oh yeah, tryouts, stay with athletics. There are tryouts, or there is a preseason for winter and spring. So what will happen is our fall season ends right at the end or in the middle of October. Our winter sports season starts at the beginning of November. And so we have a 2-week period that kind of allows our students to take a break. It's actually really nice for them. And so they can kind of unwind a little bit, budget their time, maybe dedicate a little bit more to work if they need to. And so then those first weeks of our winter season, we call it like a preseason again, but we are in school and we just have practices and tryouts after school. And so our advisories work closely with the students to kind of say, hey, what sports are you going to do in the winter? Some of my advisees will do the winter musical, which is a PE option, instead of participating in a team sport. And so those are all options that are things that are available to them. Parents Weekend in October. You know, I'd say the advancement team and they do a fantastic job of setting up these kind of events. The new family receptions, we're 3 for 3 so far in terms of being really awesome. And Parents Weekend is a great weekend in October, where if you're able to come to campus, lots of really great events. There's a fall play, there's music extravaganzas, opportunity to take part in mini classes. Lots of information will be forthcoming about that. But there are, it's a great weekend to be able to do that. If you're not able to get to campus that weekend, don't worry. Again, our faculty and staff know that they can reach out and be in touch whenever. And throughout the year, you'll find that we're able to do, right? One of the great things, if there is such a thing as about a pandemic, is we learned how to do this. And as a result, we're able to connect around the world regularly and consistently and have what I'd like to think is meaningful engagement where we're able to share information and ask and answer questions. But for things like Parents Weekend or other events, to just build a connection that that otherwise wouldn't be there. And so that's truly excellent that we're able to do that. And so, yep, Dr. Buckler just put in Family Weekend, October 15th and 16th. It's a great time. You can circle that on your calendar, and you'll see that on the school calendars as well.
We'll also be having virtual offerings as part of Family Weekend. So we'll be having indoor, outdoor, in-person, and virtual offerings. And we're even going to have some things for any CAXI grandparents that are local and like to join us maybe on that Saturday of family weekend. And there are some parent only events, but there's also going to be things for even younger siblings. So stay tuned and you'll be seeing more about Parent and Family Weekend in the Parent e-news that you'll start receiving every Sunday evening.
All right, I will give it one more minute for any questions here, and otherwise, Jose, if you want to offer any closing remarks, just for me personally, really excited to have this year. You know, Jose and I and Nancy Nasser, who's our newest colleague, we make up the head of school office team, and we are really excited to coming out of a pandemic, hopefully, drive the school forward and continue to do that. And as the Dean of Students, you know, my team and I, we're excited to have people back. Last night, we were standing out on the terrace, looking out onto what we call our quad on campus. And it was the first time in a long time where it was populated with LFA students and LFA community members. And it was truly great. And so excited that probably we'll be able to walk out in a little bit and see some of the students that Mr. Gerber's already brought to campus, and also see our seniors returning from their retreat. It's truly going to be an excellent start to the school year. So thank you, be excited, and don't ever hesitate to be in touch. Jose?
Thanks, Chris. I just want to echo that. You know, I just think the way things are feeling, I remember in the spring, we had a faculty student soccer game that unfortunately the students beat us at. So we expelled the students that scored the goals. That's a joke. Although I was very tempted. But we had this faculty student soccer game, and I just remember what that felt like, just to be together, you know, something as simple as being out there, you know, joking, being playful, but also just having that community. And I felt that in the last 2 nights when we've been together, and I'm feeling it here now, you know, just a sense of enthusiasm and energy and appreciation for the fact that we get to be together, and appreciation for the fact that we get to continue being a part of your children's lives. It's really a deep privilege that again, we usually don't take for granted, but I think the experiences of the last year and a half have really brought to clear focus just how wonderful an opportunity we have to be together here at LFA. And all of you as parents are a part of this community. We take that very seriously. And in advance, I just want to thank our PA leadership, many of them who are on this call, for everything they did last year to keep our community together, and everything we'll be doing together this year. And I'm just excited about it all, both as a dad and also as a head of school, for all the adventures that are ahead. So thank you for joining us. Thank you to our advancement team, as always, for doing such a phenomenal job bringing people together. And with that, I'll hand it back to my colleague, Leanne.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining us today. Please feel free to reach out to me with any questions. If I don't know the answer, I usually know who to ask the question of and get back to you. I was just typing my email address into the chat box, but please know that it's Leanne, Leighann .Jacobson, JACOBSON @lfanet.org. And feel free to, again, shoot me any of your questions, or our Parents Association, which we refer to as the PA. Those representatives that are on the call today can also help you. Thank you again, everyone. Please enjoy your weekend. Thank you for joining us from all around the world today. And we really look forward to learning more about you and your student as the year progresses. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Goodbye.
Everybody, take care. Thank you.